Blades Ramble are proudly supported by our main channel sponsor, My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below. And seeing as this is 3MB, we're proudly sponsored by VMB Auto Centres at Handsworth. They're still offering that amazing deal of 50% off your MOT when you let them know that you're a Rambler. Call them now on 0114 322 4446. Thank you to VMB Auto Centres for their continued support of the Ramble.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. Long time no see. How are we all? We are back again. You know, it's like buses, isn't it? You don't see me for 2 weeks properly. Unless you're watching one of those pre-recorded 2MBs and then you're in the comments giving me loads of stick for all my research being wrong. It wasn't wrong. It was just old. So, like, I'll talk to you about that anyway because I'm going to welcome my mate in anyway. But loads going off. At Sheffield United, we've already had a little bit of a touch base with a lot of yourselves who were able to join us for the live stream earlier. But also, I have to now welcome in my boys so we can get what their thoughts are. It's a bit of an emergency stream, but it's also a season preview. Are we ready? And the news today might have changed that thought process a little bit, but it might not. So let's welcome in first and foremost. It's Paul the Man Mountain.
This is the view from the mountain. With a heart so pure, it's astounding. Man Mountain, strong and true. What a man, what a view.
What a man, what a view. Paul Man Mountain, first of all, mate, how are you?
I'm cracking, mate. Yeah, come back off my fun times at the weekend, going to watch the Why Not Festival in Derbyshire.
Yeah, you sent me a couple of pics, didn't you, with your glitter face on? Look beautiful.
Festival ready, pal. Yeah.
Yes,
Festival
mate. Yes.
ready.
So that's a thumbnail coming to you soon. Love that. Second of all, I wanted to say thank you, mate, for holding down the fort on a couple of occasions when you were able to. Obviously, I know you were planning to do a little bit more than you ended up doing, but things were taken out of our hands a little bit as a channel, weren't they? So, what can you say? What can you say? So, did you see some of the comments on the video that we did, the 2MB video that we did? Or have you seen them recently? We are getting some right stick for not doing our research. And I'm going to push back on it a little bit because I thought we'd done all right. I thought we had a decent video. The problem is we'd recorded it 2 weeks ago. Well, 3 weeks ago now, aren't we? So when we're saying Leeds haven't done any business in the window, people are, rubbish, do your research. We've done loads of business, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sure I mentioned in the vid that we had done. We had recorded it early. Can I throw you under the bus here and say that you said it'd be all right to do, and I said let's not do that because it'll be too far away? What do you reckon? Or shall I keep that between us?
Oh, yeah.
Shall I keep that between us?
If you, mate, honestly, if that's the way you want to, if that's what you want to tell everybody, that's all right.
That's so the truth. That is so the truth. Be right. You something like Leeds fans won't understand, so I don't know what. Something you said something like that anyway. So
no, I don't think so. I think you'll find I was very positive about Leeds.
You were, and if you want to know how positive, you'll have to go and watch that video, even though Paul didn't do any research. Anyway, we are here to talk about United tonight, but we can't do it as a pair, can we? We've got to get the main man in. It's Dave the Nose.
Dave the Nose, he really knows where the wind, I know whispers blow. Smelly brain, he's in the know. Dave the Nose steals the show.
Smelly brain, he's in the know. How's it going, Davey boy?
I'm really good. It's not long to go. Come on!
I know, mate. It's so good. It's firstly brilliant to be back with you two boys because these are my favorite. Some of my favorite streams. What's in my favorite? That'd be a lie. But they are some of my favorite streams to be on with you boys and just talk about our favorite club, Sheffield United. It's great to be back together. We were just saying off air, weren't we? It feels like too long. Like I've been away, Dave's been away, Man Mountain's been all over the place to festivals and what have you, and decompressing however he chooses to do that. You're going away as well, aren't you, soon, pal?
Yes, I am, mate. I'm off to France very soon.
France, no. When do you go, actually?
12th, is it? 12th.
Oh, right, okay, no. Because we're going to France again, 25th of August, something like that.
Well, I'm not.
Oh, right, okay, sorry. It was just whether I'd overlap with the mountain.
Somebody's doing well, aren't they? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
somebody's trying to keep a marriage alive. That's what between streams.
Jim, is what game did you play after you weren't going to be on stream very long and you ran an hour and a half earlier?
Twister.
Oh.
So yeah, we're all set up, ready to play, and they'd been waiting for me.
I had to stop and look at that video. You were like,
"Did you stop?"
With the girls, I was like, he's about 1/5 of the way through this, and he's large.
I know,
mate. You do ramble. You really.
Do you know what? That's a little. My dad often sort of says, "It's brilliant how we've just dropped onto this name of the Ramble because it really works. Like with a lot of different things, like." And I'm really pleased with it, but it was really a caveat because I know that I rattle on, and to avoid people commenting and saying, "Jesus Christ, does this guy rattle on, or ramble on, or whatever it might be?" I thought, if you're a little bit self-deprecating and let them all know that you can talk, then it sort of heads them off at the pass a little bit. So that's what I thought. It's called the Ramble for a reason, and yeah, I can rattle on. That's fair to say. Lads, I did a little bit of a stream earlier on this afternoon, and we talked about some of the activity happening at Sheffield United, and obviously we're aware of the incomings. I think probably fair to say 3 first teamers have come in, with Samari now joining, all on loan. Samari will be a permanent signing if promoted, and I'm sure we can negotiate the Barry and the Bindens if everything goes Sheffield United way. But at the moment, it's 3 loans. And we've lost the big losses in the side are Vinny Souza going for probably quite an underwhelming 13 million, I would say. And Ahmed Hodzic leaving today for 7 million plus in the last year of his contract. And I want to hear what you boys think about that. And Kiefer Moore leaving as well. I think Kiefer Moore has been expected for a week or so. Don't know where Paul disappeared to then, just very briefly scaring me, but you've come back. There were a black screen that went on then, Paul, and you reappeared. So nice to see you back. What are your thoughts? Who wants to go first on a little bit of what's been going off in the Sheffield United space, really? Because there's been some panicking a little bit. I think it's probably fair to say that Bristol City is this Saturday. The Championship season kicks off on Saturday. We are undercooked in terms of some positions. That's probably fair to say as well. Tyler Binden and Jack Robinson, who I understand Jack Robinson is fit this weekend, so they will be our starting centre-back pairing. I've never been so pleased to hear that Jack Robinson's fit in my life, because we are really struggling if he doesn't make the 11 this weekend. But we do need some recruitment. The caveat is, there's 4 weeks left of this window. Is there any need to panic? Dave, we'll go to you first, pal.
I'm going to suggest Mr. Mountain there, but no, I don't think there's any need to panic at all. Just to start off, more as a person, because I seem to have bumped into him about 5 million times over the last few years. I think it's a big loss to lose an L to the club. He's been, in most of the time, he's been a great player, but he's a great guy. So best of luck to him for his future. But yeah, we've still got plenty of time to go. I know that people will be disappointed with the deals. I think, in particular, Moore and Anel, what we've got for them with the circumstances around us, fantastic business for us. And now it's about how we go and invest the funds that we've raised. We've got to give the club a chance to do that. I'm sure there'll be plans in place, but and I know it frustrates people that the length of time that it takes us to do to do deals, and at times it frustrates me as well. But sometimes they're complicated, and to do the deals in the best way for the club, they can often be quite complicated as well. So let's just be a little bit patient and see what happens over the next few weeks. I'm sure we'll go out. I'm convinced we'll go and get 2 defenders or 2 centre backs.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll bolster that right hand side attack, and hopefully, we get some cover at full back as well. Because I think Sariki's great. I think he's going to be from a long term perspective, I think he's going to be a really, really strong player. But we need a bit of cover there in case,
completely,
and to rest him as well as to cover in case he's injured. So we need.
And he is susceptible to injury every now and again, which we've seen a couple of times, haven't we? So I agree with Dave. I think a lot of it is due to timing, because it is coming up. It's just come round the corner that the season starts this weekend. Everybody's looking forward to it, and then your best centre half gets whipped out from underneath you. Not that it was totally unexpected, but we haven't got an immediate replacement in now, and people think, oh my God, what's this board doing? They were talk this afternoon of asset stripping and all this sort of stuff. I think it's miles off to suggest something like that at this stage.
If the money that's been rumoured is right, we might have only got that because we've been able to act at the speed that we have. It might have been a case of I think this is a Champions League game on Thursday, so it may have been we want him in the squad for that. So that's the price. We've maybe negotiated up and gone, you can have him for we'll do it now before we got a replacement, but we want extra on top. We don't know.
We spoke about it, didn't we? That what's a fair price for Anel? We all recognise he's not going to go for his true value this window if he goes, or even certainly in January with 12 months left on his deal. And now that the power swings back to the player in this situation, and we were talking about it on here, and Dave, you were confident that, look, if we get 3 to 5, it's a good deal, and anything less than 3, you think, well, we're not going to spend 3 million on a replacement that's anywhere near as good. So you keep him and you let him see it out and move on a free. But when you get offered the sort of money that's touted, and we have not had official confirmation, but Danny Hall's reporting it, 7 million plus add-ons, it's an absolute no-brainer, to be honest, in terms of maximising the absolute potential you can get out of that deal. Whether people think we should have kept him and held on as he's a strong centre-half for us in the league, which he is, then that's an opinion as well. Paul, what are your thoughts on it, pal?
Yeah, I think that sometimes as fans we get a little bit very reactive. I think that's fair to say in terms of some of the stuff that's been said in the last few hours. When you like you say, we kick off on Saturday, we've just lost Anel Ahmedhodzic. I think me and Dave had a conversation about this a while ago, just about what would good business look like for Anel, because when there's a year left on his deal, I think as a club and a business, which is what we are at the end of the day, we don't like to think of it as a business, but we need to be ran as a business. I think that we need to take stock of what we've actually done here. So 7 million quid, quite a big profit on Anel Ahmedhodzic, who for me, and then I'll get some pushback on this, has been all right. He's been all right since he got his injury, or since he had his glandular fever, didn't he? I think it was glandular fever he had. And I don't think he's been quite the same player. I don't think he's a brilliant defender in a 2. I think he's better in a 3, as we've identified. And I think we're going to play 2. And I think that if the deal had been, 2 million quid, me and Dave had a conversation and said, well, he's probably better staying with us at that level, because we'd be happy to take the hit on that kind of money as a club, because he's probably worth that to us this season and gives us a better chance of staying up if he stays. But it's been up and down for me since his illness. And I've seen performances where I haven't been overly impressed. I don't think he's great in the air. I think he gets muscled sometimes. I think he can have outstanding games, and he's shown that. And I think he's, hopefully he goes on to do good things. But I don't think it's a bad deal in any way, shape or form. 7 million quid for him is a really strong deal. And what we have to remember as Blades is the team that's paying the money, they don't call all the shots, but they call a lot of them. And they've got to be ready to fork out and pay that money. And like Dave's just said, and sorry, Jimmy just said, it was this doing it this close to the first game, I believe will have worked in our negotiation favour. I think it'll work for us as a club in sitting down at the table. Sorry if I cut out there, guys. I think the 7 million will. I think the closeness to the start of the season works for us as a club, in that we get, like you said, Jim, we probably get a better bargaining posture and a position because they get him in time for a deadline that they want to meet. So I think it's a really good deal for the club. Yes, we are short a defender. I think that the club have to be given the opportunity to replace him. Now, an hour after it's happened, or before it's even been announced, people going, well, we're doomed. He's flogging our best players, blah, blah, blah. I think that's really short, because I think that if we'd have kept Anel for the season, no one would come with the money for him. That's fine. Okay, for us, that's fine. For the club, we lose out on quite a big transfer fee, but for us as supporters, we're happy. I think when you're trying to add a fourth defender to what I believe would have been Bindon and Anel starting, you've got a list of players. You've probably got 3 or 4 players who you think are the right profile to come in and act as cover. Someone we think is capable to step in when needed, to come in and play, but not be first choice. I think Bindon's first choice. I have done since he signed. And I think Anel would have been as well. And I think that the dynamic changes when you sell someone who's going to be, who you envisage to be your first 11, like Anel, particularly at centre-half, where they're in a great deal of rotation anyway. And I think the club now have to be given the chance to go and get the guy that they want, okay? Because this Anel transfer would have been in the pipe for an awful long time, because as a club, I wouldn't be surprised if we'd said to his representatives and said, if you go and see what you can get, because as a club and a business, we need a fee. So I'm not upset with it at all. I think Kiefer Moore is a super deal in the fact that he's a third choice striker for us. I think we can all acknowledge that. I don't think there's any doubt that he would have been third choice this season. Possibly fourth if they decide to push One and he carries on the preseason he's had. Decide to push him forward, he might have even been fourth. He'll be on one of the highest wages in the club. We've got made a profit on him, despite having it's
ridiculous, isn't it?
Despite having an indifferent season last season. I think Wrexham are desperate for players that they perceive to be levelled up for them. I think he does level them up slightly, but he doesn't level us down by leaving. I think we'll probably get somebody just as, if not more, capable to come in and do that job. And that's if the club want to, because if we're going to play one central striker, and we've got Cannon, who we spent 10 million on behind Campbell, who was our best striker last season, and we've got One, who has arguably been the most dangerous forward.
Absolutely right.
Season. I think it just makes a lot of sense, and we've recovered some really good cash with letting Brewster go, which I know not everyone's happy about. That's another big wage off the wage bill. We have reduced that wage bill, and for moving forwards, I think some people have said, well, we're cutting a lot of costs and saving a few pennies. You have to, as a club, with the prospect of if we don't get promoted this season, that wage bill has to come down. And if we have to do that by flogging all the crown jewels at the end of this season, the supporters are going to be even less happy. So I think it's a really sensible way of doing it. I think Samari, although again I'm rambling on now, but I think that highlight reels are dangerous, but he looks like a really solid player, and there's a lot of noise coming out of Portugal to say that they can't believe
they're surprised that he's gone. Yeah.
I haven't watched it on purpose.
I haven't, Dave. I haven't.
I have no idea what we're getting.
It looks like a Rolls Royce, but you don't know what level that is. That's the
Benny Traore trap, though, isn't it? Benny Traore looked like he were going to be next. Michael Owen on highlights that we saw, and you can really sort of accentuate the positives of a player in a highlight package. Gerbic looked like a world beater of a goalkeeper in the 3 saves that we saw on his highlight package. So it's a tricky one to. I'm like Dave. I tend to avoid them if I can, but it does beg the question. With Kiefer Moore, particularly, just circling back to that, I'm not sure we need a striker, and I know we've sort of spoken about this previously. I think we will get one. I think that it's seen that we do need to replace Kiefer Moore, but you've articulated it, Paul. I think we've got Tyrese Campbell, who will start as our main striker, leading the line. Tom Cannon, our £10 million striker, pushing him all the way, can now play off the left. Whether we think he's, a Louis Barry competition on the left, I'm not entirely sure. But I think what they were trying to do was experiment a little bit, make sure they got minutes in his legs in pre-season first and foremost, but experiment and see how he did in that position. I think it's obvious he's best through the middle, but there is trying to be a bit of flexibility in there. But Ryan O'Neill can slot in there as well as a number 9. We know that because of not only the way he's built, and yes, he's done pre-season on the left and done a very good job, it has to be said, but he's naturally a number 9 as well. So
would you spend the money on a right winger then?
I would. I would spend. In fact, I'd make 2 big purchases now, because centre half is historically not a position that you pay huge money for. It's probably one of the cheapest positions to get a permanent signing in on the pitch, and that doesn't mean they're any less important. But you can get a top end Championship centre back for a lot cheaper than you can get a top end Championship striker. So we've got the firepower that I'm quite comfortable with. But if you take the right winger out of contention for the minute, I think we need a permanent centre-back solution now. We've got Bindon, who we're really comfortable with, or certainly myself and Paul. I don't know your thoughts, Dave, on Bindon, but from what we've seen so far, looks very comfortable. I don't think he'll have any problems adapting to the level, and I'm confident with him as a starting centre-half in the Championship. I think we need someone permanent, so that even if it doesn't go to plan this season, we've got a foundation as a club. You can't rely too much on loan players. I think it's smart what we're doing. I think business has been sensible, is probably the word, rather than exciting. I think it's been more pragmatic than anything else. But we do need to start laying some foundations here as well. It's all right hanging on to Cooper and Hamer, which I think are things that are going under the radar really in terms of what we're doing as a club. People are panicking that we've lost Anel and Vinny. Well, on this channel, and us three, and many more on this channel have been saying that's what we expect to happen this summer anyway, that those 2 will likely go. If any 2 do go, we thought it would be them 2. And just because the replacements aren't already here doesn't mean they won't be here. Samari might be a Vinny replacement. He might be. From what I'm being told, this Tim Iragbunham is fancied as a real first teamer at Sheffield United in that sort of vein as well. So then you'd have 2 to compete for that similar role that we struggled with to replace Vinny. You've also then got a jam-packed middle of the park with Gus Hamer playing in there now, Ollie Arblaster, Siddy Peck, Michael Cooper, the goalkeeper of all goalkeepers at this level. I think the spine, if we get a permanent centre-half in, the spine is absolutely great. I think we need a right winger then to complement that, to sort of push Andre Brooks a little bit, who I think deserves to be in and around it this season, but this needs to be the season really. Otherwise, I think it's a bit make or break for Brooksy this season. And I'm with you, Dave, and I'm sure Paul will be the same. You can't forget about the right back cover that we need, because in some ways, I think it was sort of glossed over that, well, Anel can slot in there as well. Well, Anel's not here now. So we've got Jamie Shackleton, we've got Sam Curtis behind Femi Sariki, and that sends shivers down a lot of Blade's spines when you think about it. Not just, and that's not doing down our own, but Sam Curtis has been nowhere near it whenever we've seen him in a Blade shirt, and he's got poor reports out on loan. And Jamie Shackleton's never been fit. And yes, he's a trier, but when he's not been fit, there's been off-the-field problems as well. So we need somebody reliable that we are able to push in each position. That's the ideal, obviously, but we want somebody that, a bit like Sam McCallum. Nobody rates Sam McCallum as a starting Championship left back in our side, really. But if he came in for a game or 2, it wouldn't be at the end of the world. It wouldn't be, oh no, this is going to derail our season. We need somebody like that we're fairly comfortable if Sariki goes down, or even if different games call for it. Like last season, we had more defensive-minded fullbacks like Alfie Gilchrist. And in some bigger games against better teams, we play Alfie because we wanted to be more defensively solid. Sariki had then come in against teams that we were looking to attack and put the pressure on. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. What positions, I'll go to you, Paul, what position do you think, positions we need to fill over the next 4 weeks? I appreciate we've all sort of come to it that there's no immediate rush, but what do you think needs to be done over the next 4 weeks?
Well, again, I think you've hit the nail, because I think the centre half is obviously an essential part of it, and I think we'll be in for a first choice centre back, so somebody who will be told you are here to start, and I think that completely changes the list of players that you're going to go for, because the budget gets a lot higher. The player knows that what they're coming in to do.
Sorry to interrupt, but do you trust that there is money here now then to spend if we want it?
Well,
that has been a genuine concern from the fan base, hasn't it?
I believe that if we do everything now, if we do like the 2 loans, I think we're allowed, domestic loans are allowed, and we don't spend any money at all. I won't be sat here going, the club are asset stripping, but I will be saying, I think there's been enough accrued in transfer fee and wage save to justify a decent purchase for us. Now, we know that loans aren't free. We know that already. But one thing I want us to think about as a club. So Jack Robinson is not everybody's favourite. He's certainly not everyone's favourite on this stream. But if he had to play the first 2 games of the season alongside Tyler Binden, with Burrows at left back and Sariki at right back, and for the longevity, of course we need more depth there. Of course we need competition there. But we still have 4 weeks of a window. Now, it's been said already, you can go out and get the one that's available today. You could probably go now and say to some club that you've had your eye on a player for and go, here's the money. We could probably do that. I'm sure we can, with the money that we'll have taken in transfer fee. I'm sure of it. But do you want the right one? Because the longer you leave it, the more you wait to see the shape of the squads, the teams above us in the Premier League, the shape, what's happening abroad, all these other things that happen. The longer you leave it, the more likely you are to find the one that levels you up. And we spoke about leveling up before. So it's about holding his nerve a little bit, in my opinion. I still think, based on what I've seen in pre-season, which I've said has gone a little bit under the radar, how positive this pre-season has been, in my opinion.
I think that's fair.
The number of goals that we're scoring, I believe we should have turned Nice over quite easily, who are going into the Champions League. We've just been and beat Fulham. And again, we didn't see the game, but what we do know is they had a decent side out because of the goal scorers that scored against us. We've been and beat them, and I think that there should be a little bit more positivity around the club. I think the business that's been done was almost expected business. I think that Vinny was. It was spoken about a long time ago that Vinny was going to look for a move if we didn't get promoted this season. We kind of knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Anel was going into last year of his contract. It makes business sense to get him sold, and we've got an excellent price. More money than any of us 3 thought we were going to get, that's for sure. Or I think me and you, Jim, were closer to 5. Dave was a bit lower in terms of what the expectation might be in terms of a fee.
I didn't think we'd get a sniff of a 5.
Right, there you go. So we've done a great bit of business in our opinion. Kiefer Moore, we've already said, is good business because of the state of the contract, the profit we're going to make, and I think Ryan One would have influenced that decision a little bit, because I think there'd be a lot less fear from the management team that we've only got 2 strikers, because I believe Ryan One is impressed incredibly in pre-season. And I think there'll be an emphasis on them to try and develop him further, because there is a lot of people banging the drum for Ryan One. And from what we've seen, yes, I do question, you were right, Jim, about his fitness. He looks like he's pushing a baby out sometimes when he's been for a run. But what he does with the ball, he is absolutely fearless. He's fearless, and he brings a mindset to the team. He isolates the defender one-on-one. He scares the fullbacks to death, and he has done all pre-season. So I think he's one that can slide in there. But,
Dave's gone, by the way. Dave's gone here.
Right, Dave. But I think we should be a little.
Oh, you've literally gone.
Comment of the night, that. Looks like he's pushing a baby out. Wow.
Are you there, Paolo? We can't see you, but we might be able.
Can you hear
Yeah.
me? Sorry, lads. It's I'm having to
all
phone you again in the morning. Oh my gosh! No,
Your internet's trying to push a baby out.
I
I
know
think.
it is, yeah. But no, I just feel like if we had to do that for a couple of games while we waited for the right type of player, I just think we need to be a little bit less reactive as a fan base, because I think we've had a really good preseason. I think we've still got most of our best players, and I know Anel's a good player, and I've said my bit on him. I don't think he's been excellent. I really don't think he has. And I do question him in a 2. But I still think we're going to win. I still think we're going to beat Bristol. And I just want the fans to be a little bit more, if we get to the end of the window and we're missing all these players and with some of these comments that are coming out, and I will be, but I just want to give the club an opportunity, because I know that this sale going through will trigger something else happening, in my opinion. I think that they will go out and get a first choice centre back. I still think you're right. They need cover at right back. Yes, I'd love another attacking player who can go through the middle or on the right as well.
A right winger's needed.
Yeah, an out right winger would be good. And I think
I'd be happy with those 3, though. I'd be happy with those 3. A permanent centre half, certainly a really. It don't have to be permanent, but a really strong right wing option and a right back, and I'd be happy with that. I could close the window on that personally.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused by the Tim Erogdum, whatever his name is, link a little, simply because if you look at that midfield now with Samari joining, who we think is going to be in that CDM position, just for the FIFA kids, CDM, he's going to be in there. When you look at it and you go, right, so what we got? We've got Hamer.
There's 4 quality players there, isn't there?
We've then got Blaster coming back. We've got Davies coming back. We've got O'Hare who can slip in there.
I don't think O'Hare slips in. I think Davies can't be relied on. Blaster is later. O'Hare's a 10. O'Hare's a 10. You can't have him even as an 8, I think. An 8's probably asking a big question of him, but you've already got Gus there. I think you're right, though, in terms of what your overall point is. We have got ridiculous depth there. It's probably our strongest position in terms of depth, particularly with Gus drifting back in there. So Gus will be your 8. He'll start whenever he's available to start and he's fit enough to. And then it's just a case of who goes alongside him. So Samari, you'd think, will get some minutes because we've brought him into play. We've paid a fee as part of the loan, and we want to make him permanent. Really well thought of. Then where does our Blaster's out? He won't be back for pre-season. So for start at season. So Peck is the one really that you're thinking. Well, where does City fit in? And then we're on about bringing in Tim. Like you say, it's a little bit of, unless Sayers is playing 4D chess and we're going completely different in terms of mid-game formations and doubling up on positions where we want 2 really strong players for each position. It might be Tim starts the game, does 60 minutes, Samari comes on and then tidies up, and there might be all sorts of little connotations to it. So it's difficult.
Gus obviously played the full season at left wing, so as much as we don't want that, we know how creative he can be, and the fact, for O'Hare as well, maybe he's seeing a bit of flexibility around there rather than.
Are you suggesting that Louis Barry's going to play on right wing?
No. Barry will be first choice left. What I mean is, I think
know what you mean.
He's looking at different ways of unlocking the door, and there's going to be. And the way he wants to play as well, that high intensity, high press.
Yes.
I think fitness is a concern over a 46 game plus cup game season. So
I'm going to leave you on screen, Dave, because we're all going to have a little bit input into Tim's question here about no reason to think these owners are not doing their best for the club, in my opinion. Do you agree? There's also a question I want to come to about just for you, Dave. So what's your thoughts on this initially? There's no reason, is there, at the moment? It's way too early to say.
No, it's just different. It's different.
That's it. That's it.
Gone around doing things before, and I know a lot of what I see online is a lot of people who are still thinking it was a mistake letting Wilder go. And all I will say to those guys is let's just give it 10, 15 games and see how we settle down. Because Paul's right. Pre-season, I think we've been really, really good. Lots and lots to be positive about. I don't think we've even hit top gear yet in terms of when he's got them, the fitness levels where he wants and where we can play that way for 90 minutes. I think we could be really, really dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good point. The one I wanted to leave up and ask you, Dave, was interested to hear Dave and Jimmy's final top 6 league positions. The Mountain covered this the other week. Well, me and Paul did a 2MB prior to the Leeds one that we got a load of, or Leeds, Sunderland, Burnley one that we got a load of stick about. We did our league table predictions. So there's a video out there, and I really enjoyed that one, Paul, to be fair. Dad jokes were flying around quite a bit, but it was a really fun one to do. We've not really done anything like that before on the channel, and it's something that's been asked for previously, but me and Dave weren't available. Me and Paul recorded so we've got our championship table predictions out. So if you go look for a 2MB on the channel, you'll find it there. But Dave, I've stalled you enough there, Dave. 30 seconds.
Can't I just copy yours?
Who's your top 6?
Jim does that. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I will openly say I pay very, very little attention to what other clubs in the Championship are doing most of the time. To be fair, I think Ipswich and
welcome one of your Ramble FC presenters, by the way, guys.
Yeah. I'll just ask questions. It's fine. I think Ipswich and Southampton will be strong. We'll be well in the mix.
Go 6-1 then.
Oh, I can't do it in order. God. I can't do. I think Coventry will be there. I fancy Birmingham to be there or thereabouts. I know they've just come up.
Definitely copied on it.
And some of the I've not seen it. And some of the signings they've made, I think they'll be there or thereabouts. So I'll probably go Birmingham, Coventry. I'll miss someone really obvious.
Well, the 3 relegated teams.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen with Leicester. That's the thing, dear, with this points deduction. But I don't know if they've done much.
He's got it. He's got it for me. This is where most credible YouTubers are going. Jimmy,
I think it's same as mine so far.
Jimmy just
same as mine.
Betting list, didn't you, Jim?
Same as mine. Same as mine. I think
we'll go. Let's. All right. Because I've no idea. We'll go Leicester 4th. Southampton.
Oh, that's a panda. That's a panda.
Now Southampton 3rd.
That's a panda. Pandering to audience.
I am so excited for Saturday.
No, me too, mate. Me too.
It's taken me a long time to feel excited about football again after Wembley. It hurt me that much that day. That it's taken me a while to get to this point, but now I am. So I refuse to start being pessimistic about it before we've even started.
So from memory, I'll tell you then, because you were very close to what we were then. I think I had Birmingham 6th, Coventry 5th, Leicester 4th, United 3rd,
okay,
Southampton 2nd, and Ipswich top. And Paul had, and these are 2 completely separate tables which we sent to each other in sync, pretty much. He had Birmingham 6th, Leicester 5th, Coventry 4th, Southampton 3rd, United 2nd, and then Ipswich top. I'm pretty sure that's how it went.
Could be a really, really tight season this season. And I don't know. I mean, it's probably blind optimism, and we'll get clipped up, and opposition fans will look at it. And
my Wrexham 20th aged poorly, I'll be honest.
Absolutely deluded and all this stuff. But why not? Why can't we? Why can't we end the summer window with a stronger squad than we had last season? And why can't we go and win it?
Well said, mate. Ray says it. Evening, guys. Great to have you back. Hopefully we get a defender in before Saturday. I don't want to start losing games because we're short at the back. The tide can turn quickly if we lose. Do you think... So we've accepted, and I think we're all on the same page, lads, that it's a marathon, not a sprint, the championship season. And there are 4 weeks to go till the end of the window. We would much rather wait and get the right players in. Oh, this is just our overall overarching opinion as a 3 rather than a fan base. But we'd rather wait for the right players to become available, and hopefully you can get somebody that's a level higher than you would have got if you go out and get one tomorrow, just so you've got someone in for Bristol City. But do you think it's it's all a risk, isn't it, to a degree, but do you think it's a big risk on behalf of Sayers and the club, really, that you are going in at, say, 80% cooked, rather than a 90 that you could have gone in at if you'd have made that earlier purchase. And if it doesn't go to plan against Bristol City, who you'd be expected to beat at home, all due respect to Bristol City, you are on back foot straight away, like Ray says. And then Sayers, who's already come in with question marks over him from some supporters. I don't think anybody's intentionally hating on him or anything like that. I think it's more a case of some fans are still upset about the Wilder situation. He was halfway through a build. And Sayers, who's coming from a lower reputational standpoint, probably a bigger ceiling. What we would class, if we were talking about a player, we'd say it were a bigger ceiling, but not quite the reputation of Chris Wilder. So is he on the back foot straight away? If is he under pressure? Is probably the better way to ask. Is he under big pressure to get a result on the first day of the season? Probably more so now that we haven't got a fully up and running 11.
Under more pressure with the fan base, yes, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, when the league's not won or lost in the first, 5 games, 10 games of the season anyway.
No.
I think he will be, but do you think people would be so hard on Sayers if Wilder wasn't a blade?
No, I think Wilder has his overarching. I know Paul's shaking his head there, but I think what the Wilder effect is affecting the opinion on Sayers. I don't think it's. I think
for
me, Paul. I'm just so.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Dave, and I can see him shaking his head.
I'm not necessarily wanting to. Sorry, I'm not trying to.
No, but if he'd followed Eki in, then he's not under as much pressure, is he?
Right. Listen, it's not his fault. And any business that gets done, we all think that the business that we've done is acceptable business. Whereas, we look at it from outside as supporters and think, yeah, you say Vinny's not worth a lot more than 13 million. I think it's about right, personally. I think that's about right.
I think we overpaid.
Right. Okay. I think he's good. I think Vinny was a great player at this level, and there's not many players at this level who get sold for 13 million. Let's put it like that. Okay, so I think he was about right
for
where he's been as a completely unproven Premier League player. In fact, a poor season for him, in my opinion, in the Premier League.
Same with Anel, really, weren't it?
Same with Anel. A good season for us this last season. Very good season for him. Proved his worth
when he was fit.
Yeah, and we got what I thought was fair. We've got our money back on a guy who's taking big money and big wages. And we made a small profit on Kiefer Moore because I think with the rise of One, he was potentially our 4th choice, certainly our 3rd choice striker, and he was costing the club a lot of money in wages. We think it's a good deal. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's business. Now, Sayers is not in charge of that. Okay. Sayers is like, the club will have gone, look, if we can move him on, that'd be good. If we can do this, Sayers is not. He's the manager, but he's also more of a coach, and that's the thing I like about him. You talked about Sayers' reputation. Sayers will imprint a style on this team because he's an excellent coach from what I've seen so far, and I haven't seen that much. I've seen what everybody else has seen. We're scoring lots of goals. He's got a methodology. He's got a style. He's a coach. He's a good coach. Now you can have a manager who comes from the Premier League potentially. Costs us 3-4 times the money in wages. Great man motivator, great in front of the camera, great reputation. Although if you're dropping down to the Championship, how good's your reputation anyway? Because you'll be taking a job at a low level, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think for what they want to do and what we've now got and the model they want to follow, he is a really good manager. The preseason for me has been excellent, considering the time he's had. Like you said, there's a few players in and out, a few experienced lads leaving. He is replacing with young players. Louis Barry, I think, is going to be really good. Looks really good. Has really made his mark on the matches that he's played. Bindens looks really, really solid to me. I think he's going to be a starter for us this season. Yeah. Samari is supposed to be good. We'll reserve judgment on him. But the signings feel like good signings to me at this point, and as much as the information we've got. But he doesn't make those decisions anyway. And it certainly isn't his fault he's replacing Chris Wilder. That was the board's decision. So I think everybody, from my point of view, should be looking at Sayers and going, I can see what he's trying to do. I watched that Nice game and we must have nicked the ball in the final third, which is, this vertical style. I put something in the chat about it the other day about what it looks like. We must have stole the ball off them 4 or 5 times when they're trying to play from the back, when they're trying to build attack. We've done that and we've nearly scored several. We could have scored 2 or 3 goals by the time they even get a shot in. And he's imprinting a way of playing on this team already. And that's what he's been charged with doing. And I think he's doing an excellent job. To say he's under pressure, Jim, I don't see it. I think we're going to win on Saturday. I think we've looked really, really good. I think if we have to survive a couple of games with what we've got, I think we're fine. I think, I agree with some of the Ramblers. If we get to the end of the window and we haven't signed anybody, or we've got one loan in one position we think we're really, really light, we can say that, and we can say, look, that could come back and bite us in a few games when we're playing 3 a week, etc. I get it. I understand it. What do we say then if the board now go out and go, right, we know what we've lost. We've raised this money. We can go and spend it. We go and get 3 perms and 2 loans. And we have the window of a lifetime. We don't know yet, do we? We actually don't know what we're dealing with. And I know we're nearly at the first game, but I just think it's so positive. I think he's coming and changed.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't want you to misconstrue what I'm saying, and I know you're not doing it intentionally, but I'm not saying I would feel like he should be under pressure, and I know you don't think I think that either. But and it's the right message to get out there. Everything you've just said, really, that he needs time. It's essentially, we don't like saying words like this, but it's more of a project, isn't it? It's more something that we are trying to rebuild the philosophy of the club and how we think about things. I said earlier on stream today that as a top 30 club in this country, we are one of the last clubs to adopt a transfer policy where foreign transfers are well on the table. And they should be considered in and amongst your transfer activity. We have been so domesticated as a fan base in terms of the English market is where we do all our shopping, whereas other teams and famous examples like Brentford and Brighton and things like that, but over the last 20 years have had to get used to these no-name players, as in like unknown reputation players coming into their club and just trusting the club that they've got it right. But I don't necessarily just mean Sayers under pressure. Does the board come under unnecessary pressure for not acting quicker in getting an Anel replacement in? You've already seen how, and I know you're smiling about it, mate, but this is
signed today.
I know, but what I'm saying is, you look at the reaction of the fan base today to some of the comments. I could probably pull some up now, but I don't want to highlight people individually and make them out to be scapegoats or anything like that. But people are saying asset stripping and ridiculous. We've no ambition. We're going to get relegated or we're going to finish mid-table. It is so jumping from page 1 to page 101 instead of just look. Let's see where we are on the 1st of September. The 1st of September, and we need to breathe a little bit and not be too reactionary to what happens in the coming days, because there might be a couple of bumps in the road, and if we do draw at home to Bristol City, it doesn't mean we're not going to get promoted this season. If we beat Bristol City, it doesn't mean we're going to get promoted this season. So it's about having a longer, a wider view of what's going on at the football club. And the other thing I wanted to just briefly not pull you on, but sort of ask you to elaborate on, because I read what you posted in the Platinum group about vertical attacking, but I'm not so confident that everybody watching will know exactly what Sayers means about vertical attacking. Are you all right to elaborate on that just a little bit so people understand what that concept is?
It's basically a high pressure on the opposition from the front, and it's about getting the ball forward as quickly as possible. What the type of player that they're trying to get. So it's more similar to how Liverpool play than Manchester City. So Manchester City are a possession-based team, or were a possession-based team. Liverpool had a more successful season and model than Man City, certainly last season, because Pep recognised that keeping the ball and moving it side to side that's worked. That worked for Barca when he was there. That worked. Because if you're the superior team and you're commanding 75%, 80% of the ball, the chances are your best players get space and they end up scoring goals. You end up winning matches. That's a given. But what Liverpool's philosophy was, and the coach that they've got now is trying to instill, is they're trying to go for a different type of player. Now, this different type of player is a player that can break the lines. So what that means is when they've got the ball at their feet, they are making progressive runs forward and they're breaking through the lines of the defense with their attacking. So Manchester City signing Marmoush, who plays either as a number 10 or as a striker for him.
Yeah.
Apparently, he breaks the lines like more than any other player.
It's not a uniform setup as you would expect, is it?
No, but it was when you've got the ball, it's progressing quickly and it's taking advantage of teams when they're on the up, basically.
They're in transition themselves, yeah.
That's right. So you're trying to steal the ball high up the pitch, okay, by the gegenpress, as it was called at Liverpool. You're trying to press the ball high, and when you get it, it's about 1, 2, 3 goal. It's about trying to score as quickly as possible because you're trying to play through those lines quicker, and you need players who can go past players. And Samari, I believe, has been brought in for that purpose in the middle there. I think we've already got a couple who, if adapted well, I know Davies does it quite well. I've seen him carry the ball past people in midfield. Yeah. I know Blaster's got that ability. O'Hare is one of the best pressers at the club. We've got Gus. I just think we have got a lot more than we had going into last season at the start. A lot more. And I think that just needs to be recognised a little bit more. And I know today for some would be disappointing because we've got affection for Anel. He's been for a lot at our club. We like him. I think he's replaceable personally. I don't think he's irreplaceable. And I just feel like I think the money should be reinvested. I think if we get to the end of the window, nothing's been pumped back in at all in terms of player purchase, I will be disappointed, and I'll eat what I've said. Okay, I promise I will, because I don't believe.
I'll clip it. Don't worry.
Thank you. But I don't believe that's going to be the way it goes, and I do believe that what we've got at the moment is going to win us a lot of football matches in these first 3 or 4 games. If we have to go through the first 3 or 4 without the squad that he wants, we can all see the lack of depth in certain positions. But if we had to field that team that I just said a minute ago, in the first game, I put us big favourites to go and get 3 points on Saturday.
Lee Pitts has never been backwards at coming forward, so he won't mind me sharing this. And while you've got the mic, Paul, you don't have to go circle back round to the same points, but weaker up front at the minute, he says. Weaker in midfield at the minute. Weaker in one area. Most people agree this bloke's playing style leaves you wide open. I'd love to hear an argument why we don't finish outside the top 9.
I can't leave because if you've watched the preseason, and I know preseason means what it means. I think if we'd been getting turn 4 and 5, we'd all be sat here a bit quaking in our boots a little bit at this point. But I think we've done really, really well. I think we're going to be just fine, and I think the squad is in a much better spot than previous. I disagree on a lot of fronts with weaker in areas. I think Louis Barry's level up on the left. I know Gus played there. I think Gus is better in the middle. We've still got our 2 strikers. Kiefer Moore, I don't think anyone could argue he was a starter or a massive player for us at all. I think Anel is a loss, but I think he will be replaced for a first team defender who may be better. Harry Souttar certainly was a lot better, in my opinion. And I think there is other positions on the right, in both right back and right wing, where we could use one more potentially, or 2 in each position. That'd be great. But I don't see why it's doom and gloom. The preseason has been really good for me.
He carries on. He says Wilder knew what the club needs. New unemployed bloke is offered a job with a pay rise under the caveat that he says yes and does rock the boat. Doesn't rock the boat, clear as day.
Okay. So let me put this to you then, Lee. All right.
And by the way, Lee won't be the only one that feels like this. He's just the one that's got enough about him to put it in the comments.
So what I think the club are trying to do, and this is a philosophy thing, this is a cultural thing within this club, Lee, is I think they are trying to change the way we go about our recruitment, because you want players with high ceiling that you can integrate into a Premier League team. I believe they are playing to get into the Premier League. I think that's what we want to do as a club. I know that the people who are invested in this club, that is the only way that they make any significant return on investment. And that is what this is about. They don't support our club. They are businessmen trying to make money on our club. We have to accept that. That's what it is. They do not make money if we stay in the Championship. And what you do if you buy a lot of Championship stalwart players. So I know there's been people calling for Dunn, there's been people calling for Darling, there's been people calling for all these. No Premier League teams are interested in these players. There is a reason. So if we fill our team with these types of players, if and when we do get promoted to the Premier League, okay, if and when, I'm very hopeful. If we get promoted to the Premier League, we will then be miles off it because those players are not seen by anyone else in this country as good enough to play Premier League football. And if they come up with us, a lot of them, they believe, are at their ceiling. That's why teams are not taking chances on them in the Premier League.
I agree with that, but I also think...
you have to go and get players that you think can go to the next level. I believe that all three, in Louis Barry and Bindon, yes, we don't have the option on them. Louis Barry, Bindon and Samari, I think they believe have ceilings which could go and hang at Premier League level and integrate into our team moving forwards.
I agree with that.
Between getting centre halves. We were talking about, what's his name, the lad from Forest who went to Burnley, the centre half.
Joe Worrell.
So Joe Worrell he's a great centre half at Championship level. We wanted Joe Worrell. We thought he's a great centre half. He didn't get a game at Forest in the Premier League.
Yeah.
He didn't get a game at Burnley in the Premier League.
I disagree with this point.
No, okay, that's good. I don't think you can go up with Joe Worrell, even though he would have been quite expensive for us, and go, he's Premier League level, because nobody else has gone, he's Premier League
and
level.
That part I agree with. But I also think you need players, because I genuinely think there is a plethora of players that are too good for the Championship and not good enough for the Premier League. And I think you need some of those players in your squad to help you get out of the Championship. You can do it without. I'm not saying that at all, but there will be players like that Leeds United have had in their side this season that they won't play in the Premier League because they don't think are good enough, but they helped them get out. Joe Rothwell, a prime example. So Leeds had Joe Rothwell in their side last season, played a real key part in them getting promoted. He wasn't a starter every week, but he played really well. If he was that good, they would have signed him in the Premier League, but he's not a Premier League player. He's not good enough to be an out-and-out Premier League player. What he is, though, is a real impact player at Championship level. If we had Cameron Archer in this side, forget Ty Campbell, say we were crying out for a striker and we still had Cameron Archer on our books, he would be seen as ideal to get us out of this league. Yes, we might not think he's good enough for Premier League, or he might prove to never be a Premier League striker. But I genuinely think the gulf is that big between the Championship and the Premier League that there are a lot of players like Joe Worrell who would be. He walks into our team tomorrow, by the way. Whether you think he's a Premier League player or not, he walks into our best Championship side that we can field. And it's not just because we've sold Anel today. If Anel was still at the club, he'd walk in alongside Anel. He'd be partnering Anel in that centre defence. So sometimes I think you need those short-term acquisitions, even if they're permanent purchases, a 2-year deal or something like that to sort of see you into the Premier League. I sometimes think that you need those sort of players. So you're right in what you say in terms of Joe Worrell's not a Premier League defender. Joe Rothwell's not a Premier League midfielder. And Ty Campbell might not be a Premier League striker. But at Championship level, they are what you need to get you at the top end of the Championship and competing at the top end. That's just my take on it.
I think there's merit to what you say. I do. I believe that there's nothing wrong. And I was calling when we the first thing I said was I'd like somebody with some experience at the back. But I've come to thinking that I believe it's right. Sometimes you do need experienced heads in there to put their head on things.
You can't have a team of Louis Barrys, can you? They're all 20
we
and
haven't got a team of Louis Barrys. That's the point.
I don't mean in terms of playing style. You can't have a team of 20, 21-year-olds that are just high ceiling players. You need a blend of experience. We would all have been very happy with Rob Holding coming in, wouldn't we? I think that's probably fair to say that Dave, I know I'm not sure whether you would or wouldn't, but a player of that ilk, which he can help lead a team. I know, yes.
Well, I just look, some of these players we've been calling out for who've gone elsewhere. Where have they gone?
Jimmy Dunn starts for us at this level.
But right, so to kind of echo Paul's point, he's ended up still at QPR.
Yes, he has, yeah.
Right, so he's not even ended up with a club where you go, they're up near the top of the Championship.
But would he start for us in the Championship? I think yes. I think yes. But he doesn't start for us in the Premier League. So that's Paul's point. I understand that too.
I think Sariki's got a much higher ceiling than him.
I absolutely agree with you.
Why block Sariki's path by putting Dunn there?
Well, who would you rather have backing up Sariki? Would you rather have Jimmy Dunn or Jamie Shackleton?
But Dunn's not going to come to us to back up Sariki, is he?
I'm not sure. If he's as a squad man.
No, he's not. No. Not when he's what, captain and
first. Well, he would have done, wouldn't he? It were all agreed. He would come in.
He's a free agent that nobody came for.
We agreed a deal with him. It was dumb.
Wilder's.
Yeah.
Sheffield United agreed.
Right. So we know generally Wilder's philosophy was more on the he liked these, solid players that were
leaders,
maybe got a point to prove. And this is a new way of going about things.
And that is where the fans are right. He knows how to get out of this division. He knows the club. I would have been so happy for him to have another go at getting us up, because I think he brings an awful lot to the table in terms of experience. He's a legend of our club. 100% is, no doubt about it. If you're going in the other direction and the owners have the opportunity and the right to do this, and me and you agree on this, Jim, the owners have the opportunity, they have the right to do that as the custodians of the club who put their money where their mouth is, more than we do. We commit a lot to this. They put more and more than we do. And they have the choice, okay? And if you're going in this new direction, you can't tell me that Wilder's the man for this job. I still think we'd be up in and around the getting promoted. It would look like a team that, for me, if and when we did go up, if we managed to get up this season, under Wilder, we're having to replace nearly everybody. I think what they're trying to do is acquire talent that can then make the transition up as part of that, obviously with further investment. And
I agree.
The opportunity. I just think this is the way that the club are going. I think that he looks like he knows what he's doing, Sayers. To me, he looks like he's already had an effect on the way that we play.
I don't doubt him. I don't doubt him.
It looks great. And I cannot understand, based on the preseason we've had, why anyone would be going, he's not going to finish top 10.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
I think that's in the minority, to be fair. Go on, Dave.
I was just saying, we can't write any of this change off without us playing any games.
I completely agree with you. But
don't put yourself. I'm not talking to you necessarily to you personally. Don't put yourself through that feeling of doom and gloom, and it's all bad, and we're going to finish 9th and all this when we've not. I'm not saying you. I'm saying I'm talking to everybody. When we've not gone out there, we've not played a few games, we've no idea where we are. And I saw something online, I can't remember who put it, whether it was in the group, whether it was on, I can't call it X, it'll always be Twitter. Someone had put something along the lines of that maybe the owners are just trying to get the foundations of the club in place. And that's the point where, maybe that's the point that they go for it in terms of going up. And if it happens before, then it's a bonus. But they're trying to get the foundations right.
There was a famous quote that came back to bite Alan Hansen, wasn't there? That you'll never win anything with kids.
Yeah.
And I understand that, obviously, that came back and that was about the young Man United team that had the class of 92 in it with Giggs, the Neville brothers, Scholes, and Beckham. I know Giggs had come the year before. But it's that they flew that back in his face and sort of integrated themselves into the team. Were ridiculous energy in that side. That were just as I was starting getting into football. They were a great team to watch, but they also had older heads sprinkled in and around it. They had Brian McClare, they had Mark Hughes, they had Paul Ince. They had players that were on their way out of the club, but were still there steady the ship. And my only point is, and it's more to play devils than anything else, because I'm certainly not negative about the season. I'm excited for the season, like Dave is, like you are, Paul. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what we're doing. I'm sort of hopeful about what we're doing rather than I am, super confident in what we're doing. But I'm willing to go with it. But I do think my personal opinion is you need a blend of a little bit of experience at least. And I know you could argue that there's Jack Robinson still on the books, and there's Tom Davis is still part of the squad. Tyrese Campbell, I know he's a fairly young player, but he's been around the championship for a long time. There are experienced heads around the dressing room, but not what you'd be looking for on the field, really.
Right. There's another saying that goes, "If you're good enough, you're old enough."
Yeah,
right?
Agreed. Yeah.
So let's wait and see who comes in by the end of the window. Let's wait and see how we've been after 5 or 10 games. Look, Anel came in. Would you have considered, Anel was experienced when he came in, and that first season he was phenomenal before he got,
It was. But what?
Sidney Peck, would you say that he was experienced and he came in last season
alongside Vinny Souza?
Yeah, but would you say Vinny Souza was experienced?
No, in terms of games under your belt, I'm not. What I'm saying is, our under 21s wouldn't go well in championship, despite how well they're doing in under 21s, would they?
Right. But we're now talking about Ryan One and how dangerous he looks after preseason and how
absolutely we are.
Would you call him experienced? Andre Brooks, would you call him experienced? And we're all shouting. Femi Sariki, I know he's had a season under his belt now, but last season we all.
This is what I'm saying, and as raw talent, they are great prospects. Yeah. All of them, you could make an argument for them all having really strong careers. But if you put them all out and your average team age is 20, then the chances are, and I'm not saying it won't work, all I'm saying is you need to sprinkle a bit of experience into the side
but
somewhere.
It comes in different ways. I know he's a bit older, but I look at someone like Michael Cooper, who might not have the game experience of a keeper who's played, for 5 years longer. But his demeanour, how calm he is in his head, and how he
agree with that,
brings a lot of what you could say. You've got Jack Robinson there, who has got experience, but he has his style. He's quite emotive. It's shouting. It's getting angry at times. And then you've got someone who's not played as many games, who's that calming influence in the goal. And you could look and go, well, who's from a team aspect, who's potentially going to have the more positive impact on the two of them? There's not a right or wrong answer to that, but I don't think you necessarily need to look and go, oh, by experience, we need someone who's got 200 games under the belt. They can have 50 games under the belt and it be in a different country and still be able to come in and have the mentality to give you what the experience gives you, that seeing a game out, that backs to the wall type stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to. 200 games doesn't guarantee you've got that anyway.
So would you be more comfortable? Would you be comfortable with? We're linked with Neil Zetterstrom, aren't we? From Malmo now. We're strongly linked with him. From what I understand, there is money on the table from Sheffield United about Zetterstrom as a young centre half coming in. Would you be comfortable with him paired with Tyler Binden in the centre of defence, Sariki next to him, and Harrison Burrows at left back?
I don't know. I've never seen. I don't know anything about him. I've never seen him play.
But that is very young, and I'm not saying I'm against it either. If he's good enough, he's old enough. But
he was 30 years old, Jim, with 300 games under his belt.
We're getting into semantics, aren't we? But it's
no. Well, that's the question. You what you've done is you've said about a lad who's very unproven, who I gather is well thought of in terms of a high ceiling and a good prospect. He might turn up and be our best defender, and
he might, mate. He might. That's true.
Our best player.
True. The other way of looking at it is,
would you rather have somebody who's been around the block, we're paying for what we're getting, we know what we're getting, and 28 years old.
It's an interesting conversation.
Career out, maybe he's just kind of a bit of a journeyman.
So you
got merit, hasn't it? Because personally, I'd rather have both. So I'd rather have the young lad to come in and be part of the team when necessary, and I'd take the guy who's oven ready for like you've said, I think there is merit to what you said in that having someone who's been there and done it when you're trying to see a game out with 15 to go. But again, like I think what Dave was trying to say is Robinson's certainly an experienced head in there, but is he the type that you want? Because
No.
you might get a 20-year-old who's far more influential over the guys around him.
I think there's
Far
a
better player.
too much of a focus on age, and when I say experience, maybe I haven't phrased it appropriately, but I mean somebody who's more of a leader, somebody who can sort of take the reins.
Arblaster.
Arblaster's a great example because he leads by example, doesn't he?
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm getting at. There's no guarantee either way. It's not me saying I'd rather have a young player with a high ceiling than an older player who's got 200 games under the belt. What I'm trying to say is it's about the right player and the right temperament and mentality to go into the team, not necessarily looking at it and going, I want Joe Worrell because he's been there and seen it, and I don't want this other guy because he hasn't.
Well, on that point, Great Bance says, oh, no, I don't. That's Lee Pitt's point. But, lads, do we really need an out-and-out right winger? Brooks and Ukaki seem good for the level.
Yeah.
And we don't know that, do we? We don't know how good Ukaki's going to be. I know that he's a big favourite in your house, isn't he, Dave? Ukaki.
Absolutely. Aaron loves him.
Yeah, young Aaron the Nose is a big fan of Ukaki. We need to know his squad number going forward. But this is the same argument, again, in a different context, isn't it?
I think that's the most wild card position we've got at the minute. Along with right back, to be honest, because I think both of those guys have something to prove, have a lot to prove, and haven't necessarily done it before. I think Louis Barry, having come from Villa, been at Barcelona's youth academy, scored all those goals for Stockport.
Yeah.
He's more of a proven quantity on that left-hand side. And I don't mind him being there with Ryan Oney as his backup because I think that's a really exciting part of the pitch for us. The other two on the other side, Brooks has got a lot to prove still for me. I think his performances have been, on occasion, outstanding. On occasion, he's got completely lost. I think he needs clearer instructions about what he should be doing with the ball when he gets it, because sometimes when he does what I think a lot of us have been crying out for him to do, going both ways, running at the defender. Some games he does it time after time after time. Other games he won't dare do it, and he's such an inconsistent player for us at this point. Akaki the same. I think he's had a decent. I think he's grown into the club over the course of the friendlies. He scored a really good goal against Nice. Really well taken goal. Lots of composure there, and he's got loads of pace. That little ball in behind, he is lightning quick and he is dangerous because fullbacks won't like playing against him for that purpose. But the question's about end product and consistency. I think for me, that's the wildcard position in that we don't know how these two are going to go if they are to play out there. That for me is a little bit, I won't say a worry because I'm not too worried about a right wing position because I still think we've probably got, even if them two don't work out, we've still got Gus, we've still got O'Hare, we've still got players who can slide over there and do that. Sariki might even be an option out there. I've been saying he could. For me, that's the best thing he's best at is running at defenders as well. So there is other things within the squad if neither of those two work out. But yes, I think somebody does have to come in on that right hand side. For me, I see it as a loan. That's somewhere where we'll loan somebody. I think that because we own the two lads who play there already. I think if they do go for somebody, it'll be a loan and it'll be someone who we wouldn't be able to afford from a loan perspective. So it'll be someone with a youth player with a really high ceiling, well thought of, similar to Jezrek Seki, which didn't fully pay off for us last season.
No, that's true.
Someone like that potentially would be that in that position. And with you, Jim, I'd love to get a proper centre half who's gonna go with us to the next level or stay with us beyond this season, because I think you do need an understanding and you need some synergy and partnerships on the pitch that are going to be more permanent. But yeah, for me it's quite exciting because I still think, like with the Tom Cannon signing, we just do not know what we're going to get. We've got 3 20-year-olds in so far who we think have all got high ceilings. Are we going to get someone proven? Signs don't suggest that to me, but they might go. If Unitedites, if they go and get 3 players on a perm, and then go and get 2 loans as well, and we all sat there going, what we're saying then, because we can't sell an Ellen in one afternoon and that afternoon go, that's it now. We're too short at the back, because we haven't given them any opportunity to go and penetrate the list that they're definitely going to have made.
Well, Paul thinks it's like rats leaving a sinking ship. John says it's time to panic, I think. Very little coming in, nothing at the back. Midfield's okay until Hamer goes, which he will, and almost nothing up front. And my favourite one so far is Gabe saying he'll donate 100 quid to the channel if one of you dares to get a divergent haircut. Very uniform looks here on the Ramble. Look at Paul's face!
Oh, right,
it's been fun!
You can do it because you're getting the 100 quid, so you can cut your hair.
It's been fun, as if I'm going to cut my hair live on Ramble. Christ. I'll cut it afterwards though, Gabe, and I'll let you know, pal. So, let's have a look. So, yeah, there's a few that are saying they're still panicking. I think it's way too early. I think it's
right. We've got to give the board a chance to go, and I think we need a centre half. If we don't get one for the weekend, we'll be fine. I still think we're going to win. I'm sure we're going to win on Saturday.
Oh yeah, you're comfortable. Yeah. You're coming up, aren't you?
Coming up, yeah, of course I am. Yeah, I'll be there for
Turn up, boys and girls. Make loads of noise. Let's get behind them. We're going to have a cracking.
Let's do Matilda Shakes before the game in the fan park.
Yes. Yes, very well said. Let me just. I can't find where my comment is because I want to get my comment off, and I think you've ended it in one of the.
And come and tell me I'm wrong. And come and tell me I'm wrong, and then come and find me after the game in the pub, and say you were right, Mountain.
We will be in the fan zone at some point pre-match, won't we? Because we'll be seeing our boys Matilda Shakes who are performing. I will also be in Selena Bar and Triple Point. We're always at Triple Point pre-game because they are our sponsors. I will be back on with, and in fact, I don't know what order I've put these images up in, so you'll have to bear with me. I've got a Who Are You coming, which is the new incarnation of the Ramble Rundown. This is a little bit about what our opposition have got in store for us, so that'll be interesting to see from a Bristol City point of view. I've just been sent that over over tonight, so we'll get that together and we'll get that out as soon as we can. There'll be the countdown to kick off tomorrow night. This is where we're preparing for the game itself. It is so close now. So close. And like Dave was saying at the top, I'm really excited for the start of the season. It's incredible. Talking Sense with Andy the Blade is back this week. So we will find out everything he thinks about those McBurney links, which don't look like they're going to come off now, but are now leaving. A little bit like what we've been talking about tonight, but what does my dad think about it all? That is Thursday night, I believe, as we are planned to be. And then that's not laid out right, so I won't put that on screen again. But on Friday night, we are doing a watch-along on Ramble FC for the first game of the championship season, which is Birmingham against Ipswich Town. So loads going off. We are all over the place. I'll obviously have hot off the presser plumbed in somewhere as well, depending on when Ruben does his pre-match press conference. We'll work that out when that's coming, and we will get to you live straight after that has concluded. Lads, any final words before we depart for the people?
Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Bell icon so you are notified anytime that Jim's on the stream, which these days is pretty much 24/7.
Yeah. So my wife thinks. I want on for a while, but, you know.
And please, just try and find a little bit of positivity. Football's back. It's the club we love. We've got some exciting players. We're going to be really good. And I'm choking.
Dave, love that. I like getting a bit choked up thinking about the season to come.
Just trying not to...
Yeah, it might be his tea coming back up, but...
No, it's Paul's comment from earlier still lingering in the back of my brain.
Paolo, the man that's great with words. Not me, obviously.
Yeah.
the wordsmith of the three.
Yeah. No, it's been sold this afternoon. I agree. We need a first choice replacement. I agree with the fans that say that. Let's just give them a chance to do it. They've probably been waiting for this deal to get finalised. And with this deal getting finalised, I believe they'd be looking at a completely different group of players to what they would have been if he'd have stayed. And there probably was a prospect he did stay until the money's gone. here's your money. They're not going to be making plans to buy a centre half that is going to affect our first 11, because I think they already had what they thought they needed. And now that he's gone, which I think they'll be happy about, and I think they've got a good price for him, there'll be another list that you've got to give him a chance to go and action that list to go and get that centre half. What a lot of you guys are saying is right about the depth of the team at the minute. At this moment, there is players that we need to get in. Let's just give them a chance to do it. There's still nearly 4 weeks to go.
There's always a list as well. Like you said, mate, there's always a list. And people don't always... 95% of the work done, 99 probably, people don't see. And it's deals that we will, me included, will never know about, that were close to being done and fell at the final hurdle. We only hear probably 5% of the conversations that are ongoing with players. So always things happening. The club is moving at a rapid pace. It's just frustrating when we don't get to see the finished product of a new centre half standing there with shirt signed that the minute after NL leaves, because things have to go through the due process, which is frustrating for us on this end of it, but it's also understandable. So if we can take a step back and have a little look at the bigger picture, if this is the situation on the 1st of September, we'll be on and we'll probably all be in agreement at that stage that it's been a disappointing window. But there's 4 weeks to go yet, just less than 4 weeks to go. And I think we'll be in decent shape come the end of it. So thank you to everybody for watching. It's an absolute pleasure to be back. And the fact that United are back this weekend just caps everything off. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for the football. I cannot wait for the atmosphere in the ground. I love that we're at home first game of the season. It's going to be absolutely incredible. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards.
On the Blades!